Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS news for Friday, March 18, 2022. After 2 years, the order and all measures under the Disaster Risk Management Act, DRMA, brought into effect to manage the COVID-19 pandemic have been withdrawn. Prime Minister Andrew Holness made the announcement during his contribution to the 2022-23 budget debate in the House of Representatives yesterday. He stressed that the pandemic is not over, but management of the virus must be mainstreamed into the general, normal management of public health safety and public order.
It is no longer sustainable to manage the pandemic as a special project by executive order through the Disaster Risk Management Act. However, risks still remain, and continued vigilance is necessary, especially for vulnerable populations.
While the DRMA ends today, Mr. Holness says some measures will be retained and incorporated into regulations issued under the Public Health Act instead. These include persons who test positive for COVID-19 needing to isolate, testing sites required to protect the privacy and identity of persons using their services, and continuation of sanitizing and hand-washing measures. Mask wearing in enclosed public spaces is being retained until April 15. However, it is now recommended, not mandated, in establishments that serve food, liquor, or other drinks for consumption within the premises. The same is true for maintaining physical distance.
The general infection prevention and control protocols applicable to workplaces will also be highly recommended, but not mandated.
Curfews have come to an end, while the requirement to obtain a COVID pre-test within 3 days prior to travel is retained until April 15, after which it will be reassessed with a view to its removal. Certain restrictions currently applicable to hospitals, nursing homes, infirmaries, and correctional facilities will become matters for policy at the level of the Ministries of Health, Local Government, and National Security as applicable. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has lifted the ban on the hosting of entertainment events as of today, Friday, March 18. Even as he reopens the sector, Mr. Holness is reminding industry players that permits and licenses must be sought and paid for before events are staged.
The permits granted will include a condition that the number of persons in any venue must be below 70% of the capacity. This condition will be kept until the 15th of April, 2022.
Mr. Holness also announced measures to support the entertainment sector in its reopening. These include a special $150 million window to be created by the Chase Fund to assist musicians, entertainers, theater production companies, and promoters of festivals and events. The Development Bank of Jamaica, DBJ, is to launch a special entertainment restart loan facility totaling $500 million in April.
Under this facility, $250 million will be reserved for micro-enterprises, including vendors supporting the entertainment industry. Micro-enterprises will be able to access loans of up to $750,000 from the DBJ accredited microfinance institutions for working capital, equipment, and refinancing. An additional $250 will be reserved for small and medium-sized enterprises who will be able to access loans of up to $5 million through participating DBJ microfinance and approved financial institutions.
The funds complement a Ministry of Entertainment grant, which sees players in the sector accessing up to $1 million. Municipal corporations have also agreed to cut permit fees by 50% for the first 6 months of the sector reopening. And the Prime Minister has directed all government entities which rent venues to examine the possibility of cutting their rent fees or making the venue free for certain events. In other news, ground was broken yesterday for the renovation of the Devon House Courtyard to make it more attractive and safer for locals and visitors. The Tourism Enhancement Fund is implementing the $70 million project. The renovation will be done by Bernard's Construction Services in 2 phases leading into the new financial year. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett says the project signals the government's commitment to position Kingston as a gastronomy tourism attraction.
Today we're trying to kickstart, I would say, a new development thrust to position Kingston, and particularly Devon House, as a gastronomy center of the Caribbean, and arguably the Western world. Gastronomy represents, as you know, the centerpiece of the consumption patterns of visitors across the world.
The scope of work for the new courtyard includes the construction of 2 gazebos, new entry structures, pergolas, new paving, landscaping, and improved water supply. Government is looking into replicating the underground water recharge system at Innswood in St. Catherine in the parishes of Manchester and St. Elizabeth. Minister of Local Government and Rural Development Desmond McKenzie made the disclosure following a tour of the St. Catherine water system on Wednesday. He says this is being explored as Manchester and St. Elizabeth account for a significant portion of foods produced across the island, and water is critical for these productions.
The question of water is critical, whether it is water for domestic or agricultural purpose. Water is critical, and it is a part of the agenda of the government that we provide these resources to improve the quality of life for Jamaicans.
He says the ministry's technical team will be engaged to determine the best way to expand water systems across the island. Tax Administration Jamaica TAJ has extended the deadline for persons to file their income tax returns to Tuesday, March 22. This applies to companies, partnerships, self-employed persons, employed persons with other sources of income, and all other categories of income tax filers. They have until March 22 to file and pay their income tax returns for the 2021 filing period and estimated returns for 2022 without any penalty being applied. The public is reminded that they must file online using TAJ's online portal www.jamaicatax.gov.jm to stay ahead of the usual last-minute rush. Tax Administration continues to provide free tax season support for income tax filers who earn $10 million or less while observing COVID-19 public health and safety protocols. Taxpayers may make an appointment to sit with TAJ personnel who will help them to file their returns and register for the convenience of e-services. Visit jamaicatax.gov.jm for more information. And finally, members of the public can now track the progress of the National Tree Planting Initiative through a new mobile app. The 876 Trees app was launched during an official ceremony at the Forestry Department on Wednesday. It was developed by the Amber Group and is compatible for Android and iOS users.
It will primarily allow for the tracking of seedlings distributed by the Forestry Department, but it will also allow the public to submit information about trees planted since September 2019, when the NTPI, that's the acronym for the National Tree Planting Initiative, was first announced. The app also provides relevant and timely information to assist users on the planting and maintenance processing for their seedlings.
CEO and Conservator of Forests, Ainsley Morgan, says the 876 Trees app will also have several rewards to encourage Jamaicans to plant and care for the plants. Under the National Tree Planting Initiative, led by Prime Minister Andrew Holness, the goal is to plant 3 million trees by October 2022. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.